Well, here we are again. It's The Parlour, episode 2, back to fan through the billowing smoke of the mythical music industry. This week we'll be putting the world to rights regarding labels, publicists, handlers and middlemen, but mainly we'll be enjoying the mighty homegrown music of Jennifer Evans and Katie Kim. Let's have a look inside, shall we? That was Katie Kim. I'm Danny Carroll. This is The Parlour. It's a new music show making use of cutting-edge cyber technology to transmit moving pictures and sound via the World Wide Web. Hello, the internet. Coming up on tonight's show, we're going to have an illuminating chat with Dan Finnegan from Paper Trail Records and Lisa Geddes from Friction PR. Also, in the Blue Peter tradition of making one earlier, we also have a fantastic live performance from Jennifer Evans from her album launch. As well as that, of course, you will have an interview with the incomparable Corkonian Ray Wingnut. But first and foremost, us in the room, we both all enjoyed Katie Kim with I Made Sparks. You at home will have to wait to see that. But you can enjoy me talking to Katie right now. Katie, thanks very much for coming on the show.
Oh, no, thank you.
You have a new album. Your second album, Covering Floods, came out a couple of years ago, and the third album's now finished.
Yes.
Tell us all about it.
Okay. It's done. It's going to be called Salt.
Salt?
Yes. Why?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like the word, and I think that it has many connotations. I think salt is used for many things, and I have no idea. I've just decided to call it Salt, and that's the story. I can't tell you why. I'm going to have to come up with a better answer for the future, but
this is fun. It's enjoying it.
Yeah.
I suppose with yourself making your debut album, I know you said before that 12 was night music, like best enjoyed at night. And was that any consideration in sequencing tracks for this album, like considerations of mood or night and day, this kind of thing?
I didn't really think about it so much. I suppose I said that about 12 because mostly it was recorded at night. And it felt like a night album. But I suppose for this, I didn't really think about it. I suppose we just got these group of songs together, and myself and John Murphy and some of the Percolator guys built this studio in North Strand, and we have built a recording studio and rehearsal space there, so I just had the songs ready, and the perfect place to do it seemed like there. So, yeah, that's...
Did that make for quite a leisurely process? Were you able to be very, very much a perfectionist about things?
Yeah, a little bit, I suppose, yeah. I mean, Spud is a busy guy, but we were able to get it done in not too long a time, I think. Yeah, it was good. It was nice and easy, and yeah, it was a nice process to do it with your friends and someone that had been in my band as well, I suppose.
Yeah. And I suppose with the first two albums, something distinctive about them is the kind of layered vocals and the production involved. Mm-hmm. Is that something you're conscious of in the process of writing the songs? Are you thinking about how they're going to fit on a record and what the production is going to be?
I suppose I'm a bit of a creature of habit, and it does take a bit for me to step outside my comfort zone a little bit. I'm really happy and comfortable doing vocals and layering them and using them as much as I can in the layering process, even if it doesn't seem to the forefront a lot. I like to use them. I think I just go a bit overboard with the vocals. I can see I do all that myself at home. Yeah. So I did what I could at home, brought them into Spud, and then we worked around that with the instrumentation around that. So when I'm on my own, I go a little bit overboard, but it's where I'm most comfortable is recording rather than playing live, really, I think. And so... yeah, I think I just, yeah. Okay.
And lyrically, you've said the songs are more of a diary than anything, like very much from your own personal perspective, yeah?
Well, I've come to believe that, because when I'm writing them, I don't, it doesn't seem like I'm telling a story like this happened to me yesterday, or I broke up with my boyfriend, or I lost my job. It's not normally how I write. Yeah. It's just kind of, you just put down what comes into your head and you just throw it all onto a load of pages and make sense out of it. Maybe a year later you go, oh, maybe this means that, or maybe... You
start to see connections in what you've written a year ago.
Or maybe you can do that with anything. It's like a horoscope, maybe, you can look into anything and go, oh yeah, that totally applies to me, but I don't know if it's true, but it's just the way that I work. Kind of, I don't know if it is actually really a diary of sorts then, if that's the case.
But it's
I might have said it in the past.
It's quite habitual anyway. It isn't as if you're waiting for new things to happen in your life. Just like, my life's so boring.
Yeah.
Wait for something to happen so I can have a song.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, winning the polls or something in my song, yeah. And then maybe in the future it might happen. Yeah.
Scratch card win today or something like that. Yeah. Tell us about the next song you're going to play for us tonight.
The next song I'm going to play, I believe, is called Thieves.
You believe it's called Thieves?
I believe that that is the next song I'm going to play.
Okay.
Is it? Yes, it is.
And what inspired that song?
What inspired it?
Yeah.
Sitting in my room for a while and maybe having a glass of wine and just sitting in front of the piano and trying to make myself write some music.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't particularly force myself to sit in front of the piano to write or anything. If I just take the notion, I just do it. This is probably just one of the songs that happened when I just sat down at it, and it will be on the new album in a different form.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you play it for us now, so?
Okay.
Cool. It's Katie Kim, Thieves. Over the way. Katie Kim with Thieves from her forthcoming third album. We're going to have another song from Katie before the show is finished. But right now I am joined by Dan Finnegan from Paper Trail Records and Lisa Geddes from Friction PR. Thanks very much for being on the show, guys. Dan, if we could start by asking yourself, you quite recently set up Paper Trail Records with your friend Jack Riney, and you said recently in an interview that you're looking to go against the traditional model of the music industry in your approach to it.
You know, at the moment, like, you can't really rely on purely on physical sales as a means to sort of make it in the music industry. And as a manager, you know, most of your day is spent up sort of arguing with labels over budgets and over tour support, and you know, maybe something you would see as being a valuable sort of asset for your artist, like coming to Europe to tour, or like, you know, doing this show or doing that show. You would have to kind of negotiate with a label, and there's kind of this back and forth. And when you cut out that sort of middleman, you can kind of really, if you have a good idea or what you think is a good idea for an artist's career, you can kind of take that and just run with it. When you don't have that sort of middleman.
Okay, so having just, I suppose, more control over the...
Yeah, and it also kind of gives sort of emerging artists a platform to maybe put out their music where they wouldn't necessarily be in a position to get the sort of the deals that we think will benefit them as musicians, you know. And this sort of gives them a platform to release music, whereas maybe they wouldn't have that platform otherwise.
And Lisa, for yourself, I know you set up Friction PR in 1995, right? So
I didn't, but
okay.
Yeah,
so you've been involved.
I've been there for about 12 years.
Right,
yeah.
And I mean, like since then, you'd obviously have had to change the approach of what you do in trying to generate publicity for bands. Like how would you be, I suppose, going about your work at this point in 2015 with such a fragmented music industry?
To be honest, not a huge amount has changed. Obviously, the digital era has come along, so everything we do now, like a mail out, can be done in 10 minutes, where it would have been nearly 2 hours at one point, because you can just send a WAV or an MP3, or in fact like an email, a press release, where as before you would have been posting them, so, or faxing them even. So like that side of things hasn't really changed. It's just you're still feeding information to the media, and a lot of what you do is like in person, like you're going with the band to do interviews, accompanying them to radio or TV or a print interview or a video shoot or something like that, so an acoustic shoot. So a lot of it hasn't really changed. It's just you can do more in a shorter amount of time. It's got quicker, so you're probably just doing more. I've got busier maybe, so.
And what would be I suppose the measure of successful publicity in 2015? Like, is radio play still something that you're very much gunning for with most acts you work with?
Yeah, radio play would still be high up there. A lot of the major labels would cite radio play as quite a, something to aim for. I suppose that would be more the kind of bands they would work with. We work with mostly independent bands of a kind of a slightly more alternative side of things. So while there is options for radio play, it's much harder. But it still generates sales, and it still generates tickets. So it is, yeah, I mean, daytime radio, if you can get it, brilliant. But a lot of the bands we work with wouldn't be fitting into that kind of area, purely because of the type of music.
I mean, I know you work with the band Girl Bands, who've had a great success so far, and obviously signed to Rough Trade, and they're going off and touring in the US. But they're the kind of band that would just never be played on radio, even alternative radio, whatever that is. You know,
especially with 7-minute songs.
Yeah, so how do you promote and plug a band like that?
A lot is online for them, and to be honest, their shows are like very energetic and visceral, and I think people are picking up on that, and it's word of mouth. And then if you can just feed that information to the media, like let people know, hey, they're after selling out their third show or something in a year, and just kind of...
The shows speak for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely, and just build on it from there and get them, interviews and things like that after that.
And Dan, for yourself, I suppose starting up a new label, maybe wouldn't have that voice of authority or trust that Lisa would have being in the industry so long. What would be like your measure of success, like working with a new artist like Cloud, for example?
I guess, some of it is sort of artist dependent as well. They would have their own kind of set of goals, or maybe what they would like to achieve, and our aim is really just to kind of try and make that a reality for them. Generally speaking, I guess it's just trying to get their music out to as many people as possible. Trying to build their live fan base, like merchandise sales, physical sales, streaming revenues. It's just really trying to get their music out to as many people as possible by whatever means necessary, I suppose.
Okay. And I suppose at this point, starting a label, were you conscious of the fact you're working with an LA-based musician, like you're based in Dublin here, you have a foreign artist, and you're conscious of trying to get them exposed to an international audience more so? Was that the intention?
I mean, the way that happened wasn't really a conscious decision. It was just, Cloud, his previous album was one of Jack's kind of favourite albums, and he showed it to me and I really liked it, and then the kind of opportunity came about to work with him. So it wasn't really a case of even thinking about the geographical sort of obstacle. It was more just like, this is an artist that we really like, and I think at the moment the best way forward is to get behind artists that you really love and that you really want to push. So with things like Skype and with the internet, it's very easy to kind of make that a feasible situation. But yeah, it's nice, you know, we get to push him on this side of the pond and also in the States as well.
Now, somebody who can certainly vouch for the support of a local label is singer-songwriter Jennifer Evans. She released her debut full-length album, Works from the Dip and Fell, on the Delphi imprint back in November. To celebrate that momentous occasion, she played a launch gig downstairs in Whelan's, and who should happen to be there but our favourite fake barman, Ray Wingnut. Let's have a look.
They're all on hooks. So you could just
Okay, how's it going, everybody? I'm Ray Wingnut, and I'm joined by Jennifer Evans on a pretty big night. It's the night where you are officially launching your debut album. And thanks a million for taking time out. You know, I know it's a pretty hectic evening. It's a busy evening.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling?
A bit mad.
Okay. A lot of things going on.
Yeah.
Nice, good stuff. So listen, it's amazing to say that it is your debut album because you seem to have been around for many years now. I mean, The Salient Point was released about maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
How does it feel to finally have the debut album coming out?
It feels great. Yeah, it's lovely. It's kind of feels like the start of something, I suppose.
Yeah.
Start of, you know, putting out things faster, maybe.
Really? Do you think you're going to change up the way you work or something?
Well, just over the time that it took to bring this out, I have written not loads more, but enough for another album. Like, I'm still a slow writer, but I can't wait to record the next album.
You're obviously a very inspired person, so I mean, you know, you look into people. You're an outward-looking artist. Would you say?
I don't know. No, I don't know. Actually, I think I've been really introverted most of the time. But like, if you're interested and if you're curious about one tiny thing, because one tiny thing gets massive the more you look at it. So if I say I'm introverted, maybe that gave me an outward perspective because I was curious about one tiny thing that got bigger. Anyway,
no, that is really.
You know what I mean, though?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's true.
Yeah, it's like a classic world in opposites. You know, if you ever meet anybody who says, "Oh, I'm crazy, me," you're just like, "No, you're not. You're just a dipshit who says you're crazy." You know what I mean? You know, it's always a world in opposites and stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean? And I think to be honest, from an outsider looking into your work, you know what I mean? You'd see, I perceived you as a very outward-looking
Actually,
artist.
that took years. Actually, no, I know the outward thing you're talking about because you're talking about like the video and stuff and bringing out an album and that kind of thing. That took ages. That's why it took so long as well, because I wasn't an outward-looking person. I was very introverted. Not introverted, but just inward. So that's one of the reasons why everything took so long, because I was trying to find my way of how to say hello to everyone.
Yeah, and of course a good helping hand along the way is like when someone from Alexis from the Delphi label comes along. Yeah. So you're hooking up with a label now, the Delphi Records, who of course they're an Irish label. Can you tell us how that came about?
I can't actually remember when I first met Alexis, but I remember when we had our first kind of meeting, and it was about 2 years ago. And it was really just him saying that he was interested, but there was no commitments needed, and we spent 2 years just like chatting back and forth and exchanging information, because I worked on my own, like I really Salient Point on my own. There was one other that I had, like, you know, it's tiny handful of people that I would always ask questions to, and then Alexis turned into one of them. And then we continued that for a while, and then just after 2 years, when the album was done and I realised I had no money, I said, hey Alexis, you can release my album now, I have no money. If I let you release it, will you pay for this, and this? And he said, yeah, and I was like, right.
Yeah, and that's great when you can reach out, because like, I mean, I was going to say, you know, if you're somebody who is, you know, taking a long time to record or is very particular about what they're going to put out, you want to put it out with the right people, like,
yes,
you know, but it was just because you were broke.
Yeah, no, I mean, the thing about Alexis, that I built up a relationship with for 2 years, and I really trusted him, and he's also a great businessman. What more?
Yeah, exactly. And he's a great guy. And you look at his track record with other Irish bands, you know.
Yeah.
So listen, we're here, and this is the big night. The debut album is being released. And like you're saying, I don't know, is it a time of change or something like that in your approach to work or something like that? We'll just have to see how that goes.
So it could be just a phase, like it's definitely a change from kind of having to hide away for so long.
So what are your hopes going forward?
Just to make amazing music.
That's what we're going to hear tonight. And listen, thanks a million
Thank
for coming
you.
on. Really appreciate it. Best luck tonight and best luck
Thank you.
again. All right.
Jennifer Evans launching her debut album, Works from the Dip and Fell, with the song Empire. Now, on that evening, Jennifer had the rare privilege of speaking to our favourite fake barman, Ray Wignut, but count my lucky stars, he's right here. Hello, Ray.
How's it going?
All things are fine and dandy with me. Episode 2 is nearly finished.
Episode 2, and we officially have a funky little function going on here in this weird little room. And yeah, lovely people. I get to pour beers for everybody. And yeah, nice vibe. Good stuff.
Nice vibes indeed. It seemed to be a nice atmosphere at the Jennifer Evans gig as well. Quite an emotional evening for her.
Yeah, it was really nice. It really kind of had that feeling of a proper event, you know. I mean, 6 years in the making since her previous EP. So it had that, you know, sense of anticipation. And yeah, a pretty amazing artist to behold, you know. Like to interview her, you know, you don't know if you want to burst the bubble of of the distance between audience and performer,
and kind of demystify her. You don't.
Yeah, that's it. But after speaking to her, I think I was more curious afterwards and more kind of charmed and yeah, she's a really brilliant person, and yeah, I think that comes across on stage, you know, and really passionate performer. That's something that really came across as well.
Ray, a pleasure as always. I think we'll have to leave it there. We do have a final track, however, from Katie Kim, from her forthcoming third album. This is Someday.
I am weak. can see nothing, though all of my things are gone, gone far away. I'll keep hope, but I